weeks ago, and I really felt that it was a working class issue, and the results indicated that when you saw the influence that the trade unions brought, the PSA, everyone. The wealth gap has worsened in this country, and a lot of people have seen the rich get richer, and they've seen the upper class, the corporate class, they've seen getting richer, the corporations, the banks making more money, the monopolies, their monopolies have written a lot on that, on the monopolies and the importation of pharmaceuticals and so on and so forth, while more and more people have gotten poor. And the actual statistics prove that increased poverty because of the cost of living and a vital wage freeze in the public and private sectors, unemployment, the crime situation has hurt the middle class, especially small and medium-sized businesses and so on. So that wealth gap has gotten worse, and the working class has suffered. And they've not only suffered, but they've seen under the Rowley regime a lot of indifference, a haughtiness, a removal from the plight of the working masses. And therefore, the people galvanized around a party that they felt would lift the quality of their life. And I remember that Stalin song. So he said that suffering makes us one, that there are no issues of race. When it comes to suffering, everybody has to face the grocery and the gas station and so on, and face these high prices. So I remember that Stalin song, and I cited that in that article. But really, you know what was started many years ago by Cipriani, first there was a party called Workers and Farmers Party in mid-70s by George Weeks, Pandey, Joe Young, Clive Nunes, and others, have now manifested itself more than ever. I mean, the Pandey Party in government represented a bit of working class people in government, and there has been some of that. But I think the representation now is more than it has ever been, and the working class has woken up to the reality that in many areas, the quality of life has deteriorated, and the government hasn't given them the time of day. And so, therefore, they supported a party that announced the policies and programs and will support them, and that has so far implemented several of them, or some of them. The issue with respect to the WASA plan is one of that. And some of those issues indicate that the party that they voted for and supported is listening to the issues.
Now, of course, the Prime Minister has set the tone from day one. And listening to some of her comments, as far as letting me know that, can't take her kindness for weakness, but she's also seemed to be sending a clear message, refuting that entire thing about the rich getting richer, making comments, of course, about the rental that we've been speaking, rentals of government from the government and what have you. We've been speaking about that over the years. Are we seeing somewhat of a war being waged against the urban elite?
I don't know if it's a war, but I feel confident that the Prime Minister understands the issues and will act on them. And you have seen that, as you rightly cited, that issue with respect to the universities, one of them, the WASA issues, and several others. I have a sense that she would move to break that hegemony in several areas. Now, I don't know if you want to dismantle altogether the powerful elites, but you want to you want to create equality in the society, a greater sense of egalitarianism in the society. And by that I mean, for example, we have these monopolies in society. We have the banks being facilitated in a way that allows them to make a lot of profits, and so on and so forth. Several of these things that have facilitated the upper class making money at the expense.
No, I agree with you. I agree, and I don't want people to get the perception that what we're talking about here is that the administration is not business friendly.
No,
But
no.
at the same time, I mean, when the question is asked, well, where are you going to get the money from? I think she's made it quite clear. Well, I'm going to get the money from the people who have it, the people who have deprived the masses, which is the other 99% of us, from the basic necessities, from the basic things that we need. That when you talk about the fact that so many times that you have people like Faris and Stuart Young recusing themselves from cabinet,
Yeah,
which had nothing
absolutely.
to do with the interests of the citizens, but basically a conflict of their own personal business.
It is.
I think she's taking the bull by the horns and saying, listen, not on my watch. I want to see how best we can have some fair social equity across the board where everyone can benefit.
I think so. I think that's exactly what it is. She's going to make the marketplace a little fairer, and through several measures, I think she would. What we witnessed during the COVID years is a number of small and medium-sized businesses being forced to close, while big businesses, and I have always drawn examples of certain large supermarket chains and so on, went into the business areas that small people did, whether it was just providing lunches, whether it was a butcher shop, a stationery shop, and whatnot. All of these things that they did, and the profit line is going up and up and up. And this is the kind of inequality that has developed. And people are asking for a fair place in the marketplace. And then there are other things too, Mikey. There is this thing called a Frexim Bank, as the African bank,
Right.
a huge bank, massive bank with great reserves. They came into the Caribbean a few years ago, set up offices in Barbados, a Caribbean office in Barbados, and they started giving loans. What essentially they're trying to do is help native business people in small and medium-sized businesses, and they've given loans in Barbados, in Guyana, up in Cayman Islands, and so on. They have a lot of loans to give. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Rowley government never allowed them to set up offices and to do business in Trinidad, and Dr. Rowley makes some excuses and so on. They would have assisted in providing loans and assistance, technical assistance to and so on, to a number of upcoming businesses and emerging businesses. Instead, what has happened there is a Caribbean organization made up of large Caribbean businesses, which is getting access, or they can't get access to that kind of money, which
Right.
is really what the African Bank wanted to do. It wanted to help the small native businesses. So all of this is about redressing the imbalance in the society. There is no doubt that the rich have gotten richer, the poor have gotten poorer under those 10 years with Dr. Rowley. So many areas of inequity, and I'm convinced that Mrs. Prasad Visasa would work, and it's not going to be an overnight thing,
No.
but would work. And in doing so, I'm also convinced that she would begin to get foreign direct investment and more local business investments.
Yeah, definitely needs to, sort of get some of that thing on, should I say, make some clearance for the average person to actually get involved. You hear it from people in the pharmaceutical industry complain about it. You hear it
Yes,
from
yeah.
people in the agriculture industry complain about it. There seems to be an issue where there are those who feel it's their God-given right to have total control of many of these economic opportunities that should be available to all.
Well, as you speak of agriculture, let me make this point, and I've said it a few times, I'll say it again. The food import bill has gone up by 75% in a decade.
Right.
We have 75,000, or we had 75,000 acres of arable agricultural lands, the currently arable lands. When you look at them now, there are shopping malls on them, there are fast food outlets and so on. And while our food import bill has gone up, while the agricultural sector has declined, and agro processing has also declined. That can't be right for a society that has a foreign exchange problem. So I expect that, I anticipate the Prime Minister putting emphasis on food production, increasing agricultural production, giving loans to small farmers, facilitating them, helping them with marketing and so on. And we slowly, it wouldn't be overnight, but we slowly begin to reduce the food import bill. We would save on foreign exchange, and we'll eat more of what we produce in the country. So all of those are areas of redressing the imbalance.
Yeah, looking at it as well, and I told some folks that in order for us to have a very strong democracy, yes, we should have a very strong working government, but at least we should have something that looks or resembles a good opposition in this country for as far as checks and balances. Now, you weighed in on this, saying that Alwari is Penny's first mistake. You said there are solid reasons why Faris Al-Rawari is disliked, a public figure. Along with Stuart Young, Al-Rawari symbolizes the yawning gap between rich and poor, and the duo have more than 200 major business conflicts of interest in Rowley's cabinet. Uh, was it a sense of, listen, um, she just had to basically pick some people who may have brought something to the table to offer? Because, I mean, rebuilding is not an easy process.
Well, it says a lot. One, people have asked, and I think this is a genuine question, a worthy question, and whether in fact she remains a prisoner to the 1%, and when we say the 1%, we mean big business, or whether she doesn't have talent to draw upon. But I really am convinced that Faris Al-Rawi brings nothing, as in nothing to the table. He is very voluble, he will talk a lot. He doesn't bring credibility to the parliament, and I don't know if Ms. Beckles understands the mood of the country. And I mean, there are issues also with Foster Cummings and some other members of the bench, but in particular, Faris Al-Rawi. And that's why he was rejected in San Fernando West, including in these working class areas. If you know him back there, and you know the Marbella train line, those are working class people who historically identified with the PNM. They voted against him and they voted for the UNC candidate. And but aside from that, Faris Al-Rawi represents big business. He gets the rental funds and so on, and no one could deny him that in a free enterprise system. But I don't
Right.
think he understands the hurts of the working class person. When you add that to his poor performance as minister as Attorney General and also Minister of Rural Development, when there were floods in rural areas, he said why people went to live there without understanding the historical imperative that led to people living in the low-lying areas because they were into farming and so on. So I don't think he is entrenched with the people. He doesn't understand the mood of the people, and I think this is a slur on the leadership of Ms. Beckles. I don't think, one, she understands the mood of the country, and two, I don't know what pool of people she has. She would have done herself well in bringing in, if not 6 new senators, but certainly 4 or 5 new people, fresh faces with fresh ideas in rebuilding the party and the country.
Yeah, you said in your writings that she has yet to decode the message from the
Yes.
electorate. So, again, coming back as being connected and become a priority as far as, is it a matter of covering based on facts or what have you, or still, of course, bringing about narratives that seem to not only question the ability of the current administration, but somewhat hitting on many sides, looking for kinks in the armor. How is this going to play out, and what do you think the administration needs to do?
I think the media, first of all, the media, and there's a reason why the media continues to flounder and to lose financially, lose markets and so on. Now we acknowledge that the legacy media is dying around the world, but I think locally the legacy traditional media is not helping itself because it remains very urban centric, doesn't understand the people, the masses in the country. In addition to that, they are owned, aside from that, they are owned by big business and with interlocking directorship and so on. So you have directors who are in the banking sector, in large corporate concerns and so on, and don't understand the aches and pains of the people who get flooded out and the people who are suffering and so on. When I read some of the editorials in the newspaper, when I read some of the coverage, and when I read some of the cynicism, like I'm reading into today's newspaper, some of the columns and so on, it is clear that they do not understand, that they do not make an effort to understand. But to your direct question, I anticipate, regrettably, that the legacy media, the traditional media, will continue to echo the urban-centric voice. And a lot of that has to do with entrenched interests, and a lot of entrenched interests go all the way back to the PNM. So I've seen that with some columns already, and it is a lot of people who have the grounding and maybe beholden to PNO or PNM interests and so on. So, and it is clearly they use two yardsticks. One when the PNM is in office, because after all these 10 years in PNM in office, we never saw hard-hitting columns except for a rare few, and there were one or
Yeah.
two editorials and so on. But to say they will beat they beat the issues as they impact the small man. I never saw that, but we could anticipate that another measure will be used, regrettably, with respect to this administration, which will more and more, Mikey, make the traditional media more irrelevant to the society. And I don't think if they understand fully, there's a reason why they continue to to lose marketplace and to lose financial returns through advertising.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think they haven't picked up upon the fact that they're still trying all these conventional ways, whether it be advertising. You have AI, of course, that has stepped into the equation, which of backlash from folks as to saying that this was something that could have been done years ago, open years ago, and why was it, necessary to suffer those students in different that part of Trinidad and Tobago? What say you?
First of all, I wrote about it and I got lengthy responses from the principal of the campus, Ms. Antoine. And I think also the leadership of UE regionally, it's called the UE Council, they have, um, they weren't in touch with what were the interests of the administration of Ms. Pasabi's when she got the university campus built between 2010 and 2015. And the thrust then was for law, for forensics, law training, and so on, those type things. And in the
Right.
10 years that the campus was allowed to rot, during that time, toward the end of it, nothing was done. And the former President Max Richards said it was an academic isolation. In other words, that was academic fancy talk for saying it was behind God's back. And for 10 years, it was allowed. That cost taxpayers $600 million. And then the UE Council came up a few years ago and said, we're going to use that for medical school. The Miss Antoine wrote me to say, well, that was a decision and so on. And that is when the Prime Minister came in and said, don't test me. Because she had a vision in building that campus. And I think it was out of place, the UE Council, to arbitrarily decide otherwise. The Prime Minister is correct in my respectful view to indicate this is this is what the use we want to put this campus to. This is our plan. We're not backing down on that. I think there's an insensitivity from the UE Council, and it is again because they're removed from the wishes of the people who constructed that and their ideals of what they're seeking to achieve. What they're seeking to achieve is to create more capacity for people who want to study law and related fields. And so again, that indicates, Mikey, the disparity in terms of say, urban thinking and that of an administration who saw the needs of society and tried to move to fill those needs.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right about that. And on the issue of course, Attorney at Law Jack Deo Singh as House Speaker, I did speak with him and congratulated him on that. But then you have folks in the media who seem to be trying to create some sort of mischief. And speaking to the reporters, the Prime Minister said that Mr. Singh is a very strong person. He's very learned in law, and on that basis, she thinks he will make an excellent speaker. He's committed to helping people. He has done it in his practice, and that's what we're about. I think she made that crystal clear that there were no other issues, and Mr. Singh has been clear on that. What say you?
Well, first, I think you got the right word in talking about the media mischief. It is pure mischief, indicating in writing what it did. One newspaper had it as its lead story yesterday also. If there is a certain matter in court and that matter you have indicated at the end of the process, whether it was at the first court, the appeal court, or the Privy Council, you are exonerated and you have no conviction. Why is the media trying to split hairs? And you see, all of those indicate the relevance and, as as you would probably say, the mischief making of the media. I share the Prime Minister. I think it's an extremely wise decision. Mr. Singh has been an standing attorney for many, many years. He has practiced at various courts locally and internationally. He has presented a commission of inquiry and so on, and he will bring a welcome change to the speakership. I think that is an inspired decision. I heartily endorse it, and I think Trinidad and Tobago will see a new tone in presiding in the lower house, the House of Representatives, over the next 5 years. I congratulate him, and I think the Prime Minister did a wonderful thing to the nation in naming Mr. Singh as the Speaker.
I agree with you 100%. Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
I think the next few days, Mikey, will be most revealing. The Prime Ministers and the Cabinet have started off at a rate. I think soon we would hear of fresh appointments. We'll possibly hear about incoming investments. I am very heartened by seeing all the activities with respect to dealing with flood mitigation. The rainy season has started. And, I look at the relevant ministers taking action, and then I wonder, what about the previous administration? Because this government is using the existing resources, the existing technical and human resources, equipment and so on. Why couldn't that have been done to dredge the water courses and so on? And the government must be commended. They've started off on a very high note, and they must be commended, and I think we must all stay tuned for what is to emerge over the next weeks and months.
I agree with you. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Please do enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will be speaking, of course.
Thanks, Mikey. It's good to be with you and your audience.
Thank you so much. There you go. And there you have it, folks. Veteran journalist Ken Ali. Always good to have him on, weighing in on that issue. You know what? At this time, Master Control, as we did mention, the Speaker of the House, Attorney at Law Jack Dale, if you have his speech, which I thought said quite a lot in the opening of Parliament last Friday, if you have that, play it first before we move on to our next interview. Very interesting. I thought he was on point. You have it? All right, we take a short break and we look fit. Thanks.
Oh gosh, this place hot, and the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryanair. Ryanair is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 King Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryanair.
The Excel brand delivers quality service. I would recommend Omega Excel to everyone.
Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega Excel. If Omega Excel works for me, it will work for you.
Over a period of time, I started feeling stronger in my knees where I could add more pressure.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Aruca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water tanks, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland. When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss. Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
Limiting chronic inflammation is important for so many conditions that occur.
I had a lot of pain 4 years ago.
I used to have pain in my knees, in my hip.
Taking it for arthritis.
Omega XL saved my life.
Then I started to realize, well, hey, I could use my hands, I don't have any pain.
All in all, I am pleased to say that the Omega XL has worked.
Thank you, Master Control. You found it? All right. Jack Davis Singh.
I acknowledge your kind words, but I also have some words of thanks for myself that I'd like to say. So can I crave your indulgence to thank you for this immense honor which you have bestowed upon me by electing me as the Speaker of this honorable and august House for this, the 13th Parliament. For that honor, I assure you that I will take no small pride in serving this House and our beloved Republic faithfully and steadfastly, while seeking to maintain the highest parliamentary standards and traditions. Trinidad and Tobago is much admired throughout the world for our healthy democracy and the democratic institutions which form the vascular ecosystem of our democracy. In recognition of this, we must all recognize that Parliament represents one of the cornerstones of this much venerated and respected democracy. Kindly allow me to also convey my immense gratitude to my immediate predecessor in this office, and indeed to all those who have occupied this chair and presided over the esteemed proceedings of this honorable House, in further enhancing the sterling and outstanding reputation which our democracy enjoys worldwide. I am confident, honorable members, that together we can reassure the beloved people of Trinidad and Tobago that the people's business will be well attended to and in a manner which is befitting of the dignity and respect which this membership of this House demands. I am further fortified that the outstanding service which is required to further the needs of the population will also be undertaken in a manner befitting the dignity both of this House and of the people of this great republic. I thank you once more.
Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
And we are back. Thank you so much, Master Control. I tell you, very, very powerful speech there at the opening of the 13th Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago from the new elected House Speaker, Mr. Jack Davis Singh, attorney at law. Very well. We are now speaking to financial consultant, Mr. Ved Siram, a man again who is no stranger. They love it, and we love to have them on here on The Observer. Pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Siram.
Yes, thank you, Mikey, and thank you to all your viewers and listeners.
Thank you for having me. Of course, going back to that first post-cabinet conference by the new government, many of the economists said that they are not surprised uh, that what's going on with our economy here in Trinidad and Tobago. Many say that the UNC government plans to address growing deficits and increase revenues must go beyond dipping into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund in the short term. And of course, the Prime Minister, Kamala Persad-Bissess, has signaled a bold legislative agenda for her new administration, pledging to tackle crime and the cost of living. I mean, it sounds like a Herculean task, but she made it quite clear that she is up to it. What are some of the low-hanging things that we can start putting in place, Mr. CRM? I mean, it can't just be about all doom and economic gloom. Go ahead.
No, you have to be positive in circumstances like this. And I think she has started on the right track by cutting costs. Secondly, they're doing the due diligence with regards to government finances and to see what is the status. They need to do that due diligence and very, very quickly, because you cannot manage a business without knowing the state of affairs. Secondly, they also have to look at the country and see what state of affairs the country is in with regards to its revenues, with regards to its expenditure, with regards to the economic conditions and key indicators of unemployment, etc., etc. The predicament they will be in is that the last government has been hiding basic information, hiding debt, hiding deficits, and so on. It will be a challenge for them to really sift through the wreck to find out what is the true nature of our financial conditions, both for the government and the country. So I think regardless of what they find, we have to be positive. And sometimes the best time to pick up the pieces is when everything has crashed and like a phoenix, you rise again from the ashes. So those exercises must be completed very quickly and disclosed to the country. They must disclose it to the country. They can't pretend like the other government and keep things secret. Because when you're taking over, let's say a banking branch or a new company, you as a new manager must do a due diligence and an audit of that institution, so that you can tell the owners of the company, say, this is what I've found. If you are silent now, you can't say 1 year, 2 years down the road that, look, we are now finding out things. So this exercise has to be very, very thorough, Mikey. I hope you agree with me.
I do. Well, I think the citizens understand, I think what's the sacrifice, but exactly what is the trade-off? I mean, for the last almost 9.5 years, well, almost 10 years, which is 9.5 years, we were told some of the most disturbing comments about how the economy was and what was taking place. But in the midst of all of that, we were also told some things that were a bit optimistic, that things have turned around, better days are here. But it did not reflect on our daily lives. I mean, we felt it. I mean, the fact that you had parents that were concerned about how they were going to send their children to school, keep shelters over their head, put clothes on their back, put food on the table. All of these things were many concerns for citizens, and it showed quite well when they went to the polls. But at this time, people want to feel as though they are part of it, part of this change, and part of this economic revolution that is going to come about to help us all.
Right. So this is the confusion that they've created for the last 10 years. Someone being bad cop, good cop, and that's the problem. What it means to say that they never knew what they intend to do about the difficulties that the country was facing with regard to oil prices and oil production, and similarly with gas. So if you're confused, I'm asking you, can you give direction and leadership? And the answer is no. So I think we are 10 years too late to change the government, but that, having accomplished it, we have to say, let us all stick together now Let us chart out a plan. Promises were made during the elections. Let's see and deliver as much of those promises are concerned. But on the other hand, we have to create optimism. We have to create new jobs creation. We have to look at truly diversifying the economy. The problem I've seen, and I've never seen from anyone in particular, how to diversify the economy. I have given prescriptions on diversifying the economy many years ago and many times in my writing. So we have to start with a clean slate, and we have to answer the question, without oil and gas, what does Trinidad and Tobago look like? We cannot be saying we're diversifying the economy and still depending on subsidies from oil and gas. Or worse yet, those subsidies are being funded by government borrowings, and we cannot continue that forever. And I think the problem with borrowing is that it suddenly come to a halt. Suddenly you go to the bank and they say, sorry, you've breached the limit. Our exposure is too high. And I think we have reached that limit, or we're nearing that limit. What do we do in the circumstances? And this is where it calls for astute governance, because there are many good things in Trinidad to build on. Our infrastructure is fairly well advanced, apart from some of the roads and so on, which we can fix. So we have to have a very clear picture where we want to be in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, and 60 months. We have to be very clear. These are the paths that we are going to adopt over the next 5 years, and share it with the population, and let us all band our belly for the last time and go forward with it. Any austerity measures require sacrifices from the very top. Must have sacrifices from the top, and I think the Prime Minister is very much aware of it. We can't be asking the ordinary citizen to band their belly, tighten your belt, and they are spending free, and that is what the last government did. That is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. So we are in this, all of us in this together, and we can start off by saying, look, the two major issues for Trinidad is crime, and the second is foreign exchange.
Right.
If foreign exchange floating and coming in, then we are fine. So how do we address the foreign exchange problem? I said short-term measures, get all the banks. What conditions that some of the SMEs and companies now will survive under for the long term? So we don't want to subsidize companies that are doomed to fail. We don't want to do that. That is where restructuring of the economy comes in. We have to establish very clear objectives. Within the next 5 years, we want to be self-sufficient in food. Can that be done? We can set up a committee, discussions with all the farmers and so on, and say, these are our needs. We know our needs because we're importing 94% of our food requirements. So we know it, Mikey, we know the quantity. So say, for example, let's say take sugar, for example. We require about 80,000 tons of sugar for the year to satisfy our needs. So we have to ask the question, how much resources do we need to produce that? And how fast can we get it going? We require about 10 to 15,000 acres. We have that pieces of land, because don't forget, we had over 150,000 acres in sugar cane. All we want is 10% of that to be put back into production. Then we need to find out what is the cost of a sugar mill that will be able to process the tonnage required to produce 80,000 tons of sugar. And we aim that now for a little excess, so we have any growth demand for sugar, that we are satisfying that. But we'll put about 10 to 15,000 persons directly to work in a sustainable manner. And I'm asking a simple question because the argument will be it's cheaper to import. Sure, it's cheaper to import if you have the US dollars. If you don't have it, what do you do?
Right.
You don't put sugar in your tea then. You put salt. As the Tibetans drink salted tea, we'll have to learn to do that. But that raises another question. We don't produce an ounce of salt in Trinidad. We don't. But can we? Yes, we can. We can dissolve the sea waters. In fact, we have a desalination plant. What are they doing with the extra salt? Can we refine those salts and use it in the Trinidad? So we have to think beyond, outside the box, and aim for self-sufficiency. And this is where I'm not seeing any of the planners. I remember we've had many persons charting a course for Trinidad. What's the plan for 2030, etc., etc. But I'm not seeing any of these basic things within those plans. And that is why Dr. Rowley rejected the last one outright, because it was not practical. You can't put a set of people, what you call patches of intelligence here and say, come up with a plan. Somebody has to coordinate it and see whether it makes sense. The last plan that they had, you had all kinds of experts slapping on pages of what to do and what not to do. And you had, I remember writing a critique on that. We had a banker, a senior banker within that. And I was astounded because I asked the question, is that banker going to prescribe to the banks how to stop stealing from the public, how to stop stealing from government, how to manage the interest rate, how to manage the lending rates, how to manage the rates on deposits. And those solutions were never forthcoming. I am saying you need a committee, a small, very small committee, who can have access to necessary expertise and put together a very practical plan. Item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, that we can start tomorrow. We don't have time. Right, Mikey, we don't have time.
No, when you say we don't have time, give me seriously, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the seriousness of it all, what would you say? How much time do we have?
I am saying, I would say 1. I'll tell you why. Because if we are now going to develop plans to address our problem, first of all, we have to have a problem definition. Where is the problem definition? I was part of the 2015 manifesto, and it was that practicality in mind that document was developed. So the question now is, start implementing it. What are the priorities? Priority A, B, and C. Let's get it going. We have to hit the road running. We cannot wait. We cannot wait.
Yeah, and one of the things that you've said time and time again is this hoarding of the forex. You mentioned it earlier. I mean, really and truly, how realistic is that to let these banks know? Because remember, we are talking about a system that showed a ridiculous amount of profit during the heights of a pandemic. And one would, if I'm not mistaken, the banks in Trinidad may have been the only bank in any other country. I don't think that took place. But we had banks that were recording large sums of profits in the heights of a pandemic. Isn't this a system that needs to be looked at? We need to reassess that entire banking system?
Right. So I think that is very myopic. What is happening is a bank is an intermediary between depositors and borrowers. It's an intermediary. They cannot be siphoning money and treating those two constituents unfairly and surviving with super profits at their expense. Because in the medium and long term, if you kill off borrowers and you kill off lenders, where do you stand? And that is why I'm saying regulators have been blind, willfully blind, with regards to what is happening within the banking industry. It's an intermediary. So they depend on the depositors and the borrowers, and you are in the middle as a middleman. performing, outperforming every other sector in the country. And that is not sustainable. And what are the reasons? Quite frankly, all the banks act as a monopoly. They all act as a monopoly. And therein lies the problem, with the absence of regulators, absence of the intelligence within the government and the thing. That has to be addressed quickly. So when I wrote the article about bank hoarding, and I looked at all the other banks, and they have about $2 billion US. I didn't look at the insurance companies, but they probably have equivalent amount. So if you put together 3 to 4 billion US, do you know that will take care of 4 years? And you are sitting on it, and the rest of the SMEs and companies in the country, they are falling apart. That is not sustainable. That has to be addressed immediately. I brought it to the attention of the nation, and I, as an individual, I can continue to make noise, and I know I'll get change. I will make change. But if the government and the central bank comes out and instruct these banks, do not exceed your US dollar assets by 5% over your US dollar liability. And I'm giving you, the banking industry and the insurance, I'll deal with the insurance company just now. You, the banking industry, I'm giving you 3 months to make that correction. Now what will happen? Here what will happen? They'll be forced to bring in, let's say, one bank, right? I'm dealing with one bank. Right. You're forced to bring in now and convert $1 billion US in the local market, and you have about $7 billion TT surplus. You have to mobilize those TT dollars now into productive loans that will meet the national interest. So there's a double benefit of doing that. Government now can also issue savings bonds, short-term and medium, and access those funds for doing developmental work in Trinidad. You know, if you don't have an overview, how you have to look at Trinidad, go up 5 miles in the air and have a good view of everything and come back down. Formulate a plan, come back down and say, look, this is what we would like to do within Trinidad to achieve these specific objectives within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. Those should be the plans.
All right, but in the midst of all of that as well, you're talking about central bank, you're talking about the government, but what about us, the consumers? I mean, shouldn't we have the right? Hold on, but shouldn't we have the right, as far as the Banking Association of Trinidad and Tobago, which I personally call a mafia, that's the way I look at it, shouldn't we have the rights to go and to compete? Let the banks compete. I mean, who's going to offer us the lowest, who's going to offer us the highest interest rates? Who's going to offer us the lowest service charges or no service charges at all?
No, yeah, that's a mistake. I'll tell you why. They say a market, an efficient market, is that the information is easily available to the consumer so they can make a decision. When you go into the market, Shabonas market on a Saturday, you are able to walk around, you make your rounds. It doesn't take you more than 15 minutes to make the round. Right. To see who is selling tomatoes at the cheapest price. You cannot do that with the banking system. You can't walk from branch to branch and find out what is happening. That is why regulators are appointed to regulate the banking industry. Suppose now, let's look at the question of pricing and fees, right?
Right.
Suppose we ask all the banks to publish all their fees once a month in the newspaper. Won't you be able to stay at home and look at all the data to see which bank is giving you the lowest rate?
Of course.
Right?
Isn't that because they're not competing for our business?
They're competing, but we are lost. They all monopolize the thing. They know what they're pricing for each other, and that's what they do. They're not competing for our business. We are trying to get the best deal by way of personal negotiations, and that's about it. But we don't have the power. We as a consumer, we are helpless. We are helpless at the strength of the banks. And that is why, Mikey, we have regulators for the bank. You know, in East Africa, I think it was Uganda, and this is about 30 years ago, you know, that one of the parliamentarians said we have to regulate the fees the banks are charging. There was a big uproar. That is against now free market conditions and so on, etc., etc. In the end, he was able to pass a bill, get a bill passed to control what fees the banks could give you. Let me ask you this. And do you know that some of the banks, they line up all, I call them milk accounts, all the savings accounts at the end of the month, and take off some fees for it? Suppose we pass a law, yes we can. Can we pass the law saying that the minimum interest rate on a deposit in your bank will be 3%? Can we pass that law? Yes.
Yes, we can.
Other countries, they do it.
Yeah.
Because you cannot have a banking sector, what I would call preying on the large, small depositors, the large base small depositors, and giving them less than 1% on the deposit, and you are charging 10, 11, 12% on your loans. You cannot do that. Secondly, you cannot discriminate by charging your normal customer, your average customer, prime plus 2, prime plus 4, 3, and prime plus 4. And at the same time, the large customer, you're charging them prime plus minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. So this raises a very interesting question.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm saying the regulators don't understand banking, and that is why they cannot regulate. Now, when you establish a prime rate is sacrosanct. When you go to India, the law is very simple. You cannot charge below prime, because prime by its definition is the interest rate you give to your best customers, Mikey, to your best customers, meaning to say that is your best risk and that is the prime rate. So if you are charging some of your large customers prime minus, it means to say that somebody has to subsidize it. So the other small borrowers, they have to subsidize it. That is why they're being charged prime plus 3 and prime plus 4.
Understood.
There's a lot to fix in the banking industry. Do you know ports charge 50% on their credit? Are you aware of that? 50%?
Wow.
That is beyond usury. That has to be disclosed.
All right. Well, Mr. Ira, we've come to our end. Any closing comments, and of course related to, once again, to the...
I'm looking at this as a very exciting time, very exciting, because we can establish very firm objectives. We have a tremendous amount of resources that we are wasting. I'll give you one example. Why are we shipping out all our steel to go abroad, reprocessed in China and come back here? Why can't we set up a small plant? And technology has changed. They are very small plants. We don't have to establish a 500 million or $1 billion plant for recycling steel. About 12 to 15 million will satisfy our needs. So there's very exciting times in terms of putting people back to work on a sustainable basis and deepening our economy to put people back. That unemployment drops to about 5%. Right now, unemployment is very high.
Yeah.
In addition, underemployment is also very high. When you see a big strapping man selling nuts on the street, that is underemployment.
So true.
So there are lots of things to be done in Trinidad.
And I agree with you. These are some very exciting times, and we have the opportunity now to think outside the box and, of course, come up with something that is going to be beneficial to us, the citizens. And I agree with you. Want to thank you so much for taking time out to link with us. We will be checking in with you periodically. Again, thank you once again. And do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you.
Take care. Take care, everyone.
All right. Master Control, a short break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking to the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Ms. Khadija. We'll be right back.
The Excel brand delivers quality service. I would recommend Omega Excel to everyone.
Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL. If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you.
Over a period of time, I started feeling stronger. My knees right to add more pressure.
For all top quality and affordable hardware supplies, no one beats Midland Hardware, located number 97 Eastern Main Road, Aruca. Midland stocks the #1 brands in hand tools, garden tools, water tanks, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
And we're back. Thank you, Master Control. And we are joined on phone by Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Ms. Khadija. Pleasant good evening.
Good evening, Mickie K, and good evening, of course, to all your listeners locked on.
It's a pleasure having you on. I know it's been hectic for you from day one. Of course, congratulations are in order. And you've hit the ground running. We're talking about dealing with the flood situation, dealing with the abandoned Curup Presbyterian School building, refurbishment of other schools. You have been at it. I believe this morning you had a walkathon.
Yes, and I was actually supposed to join you a bit earlier, but I was also at the current Cedar Hill reenactment of the Indian Arrival Day at the using St. Madeleine Pond in South Trinidad there. And I was really happy to join them because the councillor for that area has been part of that committee for many years. This is the 11th year. And you know the importance of local government representatives having that support to perform their duties, not just to see about garbage and potholes and drains, but in the communities and the cultural celebrations and strengthening of communities and getting more people involved. For me, it's important to support our local government representatives as they play that role in governance.
Yeah. What stood out to me, that is, when you made the comment that flood mitigation program has no political hat and no political color. It is a human safety initiative. It is geared to making people's lives better. It is the job of every one of us. And on this program and on many programs, we've spoke about the fact of geographical discrimination, where certain areas it seemed as though the last regime would not venture into and try to seek and assist the people who have been affected by floods. But you've made it categorically clear that that is not going to happen under your watch.
Well, I'll tell you, under the watch of Kamala predecessor, everybody wins. Even at our opening speech in Parliament, at the ceremonial opening of Parliament, where, I mean, PNM inside there wearing Balize ties. You're not there to represent the Balize or your party symbol. We, as the United National Congress, we are a government for all people. And so whether it is in flood mitigation, in business, supporting businesses, supporting communities, whatever area of governance it is, we will do what is best for everyone.
Well, we've had some showers earlier today. I don't know if any areas have been affected. Have you been on the ground as well?
Yes, well, in notification from the Met Office with regards to an upcoming weather system that may bring a tropical storm to Trinidad. And of course, in the lead up to that, you may have some bad weather. And I'm really grateful that a couple of weekends ago, we had this yellow alert. It was a 48-hour period. And that came into effect shortly after we launched our flood mitigation program. Now, while in local government, we have 14 regional corporations, the Minister of Works also had approved by Cabinet an intense irrigation program dealing with major water courses, strengthening the banks of those rivers, attending to the floodgates, as well as ensuring the pumps are functional. And the Minister of Agriculture also has similar infrastructure in the agricultural areas, and he too have had that approved at Cabinet. So what you have is a multi-ministry approach. We also have on standby the equipment from other agencies to help in this exercise. So there is no excuse of any regional corporation or any councillor at this time, because what I say to them, if there is a challenge that you do not have the resources to deal with, let us know. And so we would have sent equipment from the ministry, from CPEP and other agencies to supplement in regional corporations the work that they have to do in the most critical areas for flooding. But a lot of it is because of the absolute neglect of the former government. When you have major water courses such as the Caroni River, the South Oropouche River, the Caparo River, the Ottawa River, and those have been poorly maintained by the former administration. It's Mamagai because they clean it by the highway and by the main road where you could see, and they say, oh, the river looking nice. When you go down, as I have done over the past 5 years, and the farmers take you down in the garden and they take you down to the river bank, and you see where the river bank has eroded over years, and they are begging for the minister, and under the last PNM, and he ignored them. When you see whole trees growing in the watercourse, that didn't happen overnight or over 2-3 years. This took 10 years of neglect. And so because of that, our farmers have been severely affected. And I'll tell you in St. Augustine constituency, because I've been on the ground, when the farmers take me down in Orange Grove, down to the last end of the garden, and we see the condition of the river, you would not believe that that is the mighty Caroni River. So these are the circumstances that has led this government to be more hands-on, because Kamala Persad in opposition was out there in the flood, seeing the issues, seeing the problems, and having discussions with various stakeholders on what the solutions are. And when she instructed boots on the ground, every one of us has been out there making sure that the resources of the state are used for the benefit of the people. And that is our mandate. So when I see the state of the water courses, when I see the amount of equipment we have, I don't know what the PNM was doing all the time. It is not that they could not do it. There was no political will. They just did not care about the people.
And I think what you're saying as well too, when you made that point that you reached out and let these corporations know that whatever you're lacking in resources, because it seemed to have been in the past, you know, we don't have sandbags and that's it. We don't have gas for the machine and that's it. And that was just the answer. Not, of course, trying the best to see how they can serve and get to these people who have been affected by these floodwaters.
Well, I'll tell you, they had this campaign about local government reform. That was just a mama guy. And while they're telling you that local government reform is happening, they were undermining the corporations by depriving them of money. So you can't tell me you are reforming local government, but you're not giving them enough money to even buy diesel for their vehicles. And then you complain that they are not doing the job. So you are sabotaging the corporations all the time. So I give you the assurance that legislative change is not necessarily required to make local government efficient. There are very dedicated people in local government, and what we have to do is strengthen regional corporations because they are legal entities of their own. And that is what I feel is important for all of us. And the UNC government in the past would have worked with local government corporations, not only for drain and garbage collection and all services. When it comes to cultural events, when it comes to tourism, there are many local tourist sites. So there are so many aspects in local government that makes governance closer to people. And that has been an approach of Kamla Prasad Bisesa as a Prime Minister that I think that happened in the past that really lends for good governance throughout.
Yeah, I want to agree with you on that, definitely. I mean, in the past, we've heard people complain about, and this is something that I always thought their property is not on the corporation map. I had a chance to send that question to the former minister, Mr. Alwari, and he never cleared it up. He didn't seem to maybe understand, I don't know. But these were serious complaints where people said, listen, they visited the corporation, they tried to get certain things done, and they were told that for whatever reason, they weren't able to get the assistance that they needed. They were not on the corporation map. What exactly does that mean?
All of that is total BS. The former minister really had zero interest in local government. And I said to him when he was demoted as Attorney General that pocket squares don't fix potholes. And I saw Mama Guy, I saw him posing in some kind of jumpsuit, cutting a branch, you know. We are real out here. We are not about showmanship. Even in opposition, our approach in local government, our approach as MPs, as opposition, MPs has always been people-centered because that is the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa. So I think people were so fed up of the BS and the propaganda and the mama guy, they made their decision on April 28th, and there's a sense of hope in the country now that we are moving into a different era.
All right. And for those folks, I know you have to get back to your function, those folks who would, of course, be in the pathway of the floods and what have you, what can they do? Is there a number they can call, reach out to, whatever little assistance? Can they just simply call the corporation in their area and get the assistance that is needed?
Yes. What I encourage all citizens who have a complaint that could cause flooding, we are focusing on flood mitigation at this time. So through your councillor, yes, but you can also go to the regional corporation and make a report to the disaster management unit. The disaster management and the public health departments are spearheading the relief exercise and coordinating. So whether it's a fallen tree or a blocked waterfall in the drain, there's a big boulder or a piece of concrete blocking that we need to send special equipment such as jackhammers and so on, and we have been doing that. But there are also areas where you have narrow cylinders, for instance, crossings, and those requests for projects will also come through your regional corporation so that we can program them in the future. So I'm saying where any citizen has a challenge that could lead to flooding, immediately go to your disaster management unit or your regional corporation and make the report. Where the corporation can, they will deal with it immediately. Where they don't have the capacity, we will send additional equipment for them. And I also urge all councillors, this is not a UNC exercise. When UNC wins, everybody wins, including the PNM councillors. So PNM councillors, get on the ground there and do your job and ensure that your people are served. We want to reduce flooding, but I'll tell you as well, we are also planning for medium and long-term projects in terms of flood mitigation. Our Minister of Works in charge of drainage has a number of proposals before her, and you will be hearing more from our other ministers in government as well.
All right, and two other things, I believe, well, there have been people who have been calling once they heard that you were going to be on the show this evening, and they're calling from the San Fernando Corporation. They're a bit worried. So I know you have your hands filled with that. So if you have to tell them anything, for those who are worried in San Fernando for whatever reason, as well as, is the URP under your ministry?
Yes, the new schedule has been issued and URP does fall under the Ministry of Local Government. So yes, for those concerned in San Fernando, I can tell you that might just be the tip of the iceberg. We were warning people of certain activities in San Fernando City Corporation, certain things that the mayor is aware of, that PNM mayor has been aware of, and he's either sweeping it under the carpet, hiding for his colleagues, or he's afraid to speak out for the right thing because PNM will chastise him. And I say to him, Mr. Mayor, let your conscience be your guide and not your balisé tie. You know of wrongdoing, and I would suggest that you cooperate with our investigation. I did ask the permanent secretary to send a report, and the CEO of that corporation will put together the report. And I want to warn them, don't try to hide and break for nobody. Stand up for what is right. You cannot have taxpayers' money just walking all the place. You cannot have mismanagement of funds. You cannot be siphoning money towards PNM party groups, telling me it's cultural events, and all of them who are aware of it, if they do not speak out, they are participating, in my view.
All right. Thank you so much, Minister. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be speaking to you periodically right here on The Observer. Keep up the good
My
work.
pleasure. Thank you for having me, Mickie K.
Always a pleasure. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks.
Take a short break, come back, we speak to consumer rights advocate Trevor Austin right here on The Observer. San Fernando, boy, the place is hot. We'll be back.
The Excel brand delivers quality service. I would recommend Omega Excel to everyone.
Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega XL. If Omega XL works for me, it will work for you.
Over a period of time, I started feeling stronger. My knees where I could add more pressure.
Oh gosh, this place hot. And the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Kane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air. Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438 to find a dealer near you.
Yes, and we are back. Thank you, Master Control. And again, a man who has been with us here from day one. Always a pleasure to have him on. And he's always expanding on all of these issues where the average citizen have been complaining about for quite some time. Let me welcome on Sunday, Mr. Trevor Austin, consumer rights advocate. Good evening, sir.
A wonderful good evening, and thank you for your compassion for consumer affairs. I know you have an interest in that also, so thank you so much.
Yeah, because this is the amount of complaints, and then, you find yourself in situations dealing with some companies, and you ask, where's the compassion? Where's the understanding? And it just doesn't add up. Let's take a look at this, where there's necessary consumer empowerment. I don't know if you heard, I had Mr. Vetsiram on earlier.
Yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend.
I was asking him about the BAT, which is the Bankers Association, and he said that there should be regulators. Because my thing was, I think it's time for the banks to compete for our business. I want to know who's offering no monthly charges on checking accounts, saving accounts, who's going to offer the best interest rates. But he's saying that, leave that up to the regulators because that may somehow cause some friction the um, in the whole scheme of things. But I think it's only fair, most of all, transparency. When you look at what we have here, time limit claims settlement, and that's what insurance companies should, under law, have stipulated time in which to settle all claims, be it auto, home, etc. I know you had an experience, I believe, in Atlanta.
Yes, we live in Atlanta. I was insured with a company called State Farm. State Farm is one of the biggest companies in the United States.
Yes.
And my girlfriend and I, we had an accident. We called State Farm. They said, stay right there. We'll be there in 10 minutes. In 12 minutes, a guy showed up there, and he introduced himself, came and looked at the vehicle. He said, excuse me, just give me 5 more minutes. I'm going to go in the car and sort something out. And to my shock and amazement, the guy came out with me and said, okay, we have estimated your repair is going to cost X amount. Here is your check for that amount, and here's a list of the 5 auto repair shops in your zip code. You're so used to Trinidad culture and this run around. On the spot, I got a check for $3,600 and something in, about 20 years ago. And that's how insurance is supposed to be. Now, in sharp contrast, I had a similar accident in Trinidad here where I'm going east on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway. A car hit one other car from behind, and that car come pelting at me head on. So he's facing west on the eastbound lane now. And the amount of horrors I got to collect my insurance premium. Their inspector or whoever it is come and look at the accident, the regulator, whatever they call themselves. It took 2 weeks. Now, in full comprehensive now, you get a rented car for 2 weeks. So once that 2 weeks is up, they haven't gone beyond the regulator coming and looking at the accident and see what the problem is and then go back later. It took almost 3 months, Mike, for me. I had to raise my voice, use some strong language for them, for the people who say they are people, to pay me my just due. They wrote up the vehicle. And here the other thing now, when they write up a vehicle now, they put in a value on that and lessen that from your claim. And that is of no use to you. You have a crashed vehicle sitting in your yard. You don't know the carburetor from the filter from the shop. You know nothing. It's not up your scheme. They're supposed to take that and give you a full settlement claim, but no. They just leave you stranded there and they deduct it from your claim. So if you're supposed to get 150,000 now and they put a value on the record 50,000, that is 50,000 less on your settlement.
Yeah, so and it makes you wonder sometimes, Trevor, as though they've been given a mandate not to give money easily. Drag the customer out as long as you can, because it's just, strange enough, the money should always be there when you have to pay your premium. When there's anything that they ask you to pay, the money has to be there. But when it's time for them to pay you, it is the hardest thing, man.
It's unconscionable. They have no conscience at all. And they have no the thing is, we have no regulator. The goose gonna steal all the eggs he can get. In the meantime, nobody is watching him, nobody controlling him. He doesn't have a conscience. He only cares about the profitability and how much millions and billions they're making every year. And you, the consumer, now you have no protection. That's what we need to have, regulators.
Yeah. Number 2, I believe this is post-retail. Is that, what word is that there?
That's to be prices.
Prices. Post-retail prices. All retailers, from vendors to auto sales, should post their prices so consumers can make informed purchasing decisions. Likewise, vendors should use scales visible to the consumer or provide receipts showing actual weight and cost. And of course, many people would have noticed how vendors always ascribe your purchase as exact weight. It's strange. They go to it and it's the exact weight. There you have it.
Always. You buy a pound of sweet potato, $3 a pound, okay, $6. You buy a piece of watermelon, $9 a pound, you have 4 pounds, always at the exact, in the absence of having a scale and give me a check and see what I'm paying for, how many pounds I'm paying for, at what price per pound. So we just pay reluctantly, we don't pay where we could be happy and we feel just we got a viable product at a good price. No. They just make you pay because you want to get the stuff, you don't want to argue. And then the other thing that have me perturbed too is that You go to buy a bunch of mangoes or fruits. They have one big fruit on top, all the small fruit. That is not right. You're baiting and switching.
No, you're right. You're right. And if you're lucky when they say buy a heap, in that heap of 5, you only have about 1 ripe mango and the others are green.
Or you have 2 rotten ones in between. Trust me, I'm a mango lover.
Yeah, so you can't make up your heap. They have to make it up for you. That's how the heaps are. That's how they come. You take it as it is. And you have no say in the matter whatsoever.
Absolutely. Again, we need regulators. Somebody have to come and... the worst consumer affairs minister we have is in the last administration. And I always complain, you cannot have a minister of trade with the responsibility of consumer affairs. They don't mesh.
You're right.
Because all your cocktails and your caviar and your scotch and everything else with the people on the trading side, Minister of Trade, and they have done nothing for consumers in the 9 years they have been in power. Nothing whatsoever.
Yeah. Number 3, professional credit reporting. This is very much important. If consumers are educated on managing their finances, they would contribute immensely to the economy while having a better quality of life. That's professional credit reporting. Trevor? And it seemed like we lost him there. Let me see if I get him back for you. Did seem like we lost him there on that one. So professional credit reporting, which is number 3. All right, seems like we did lose him there a bit. We do apologize for that.
Hello? Yep.
Yeah, we lost you there for a bit. Okay.
All right.
Was it?
Are you hearing me now? I
Yes,
lost you there.
yes, professional credit reporting. If consumers are educated on managing their finances, they will contribute immensely to the economy while having a better quality of life.
Here how our existing credit reporting, and we're talking about the only professional one that uses an American name on it, a company called TransUnion.
Right.
They have your name in their database and they sell your information to all the banks, furniture companies, everybody who you want to get credit from, they sell that. But you know whose name is being sold, you are not educated how to manage your affairs. Like for instance, if I know my credit is not so good right now, I would not go and order my credit report unnecessarily or go to get credit anywhere unnecessarily because I need some time to clear myself up. So when I go to order something from a new credit provider, I would be in the system as saying I am good. So all these things that they need to show and educate consumers so they can be better planners of the economy and they can contribute greatly because a lot of us now, a lot of consumers out there, Mikey, are not aware that TransUnion exists. And I use the word TransUnion because it's an American company. I live away. I know how they operate and so on, as against what we've been used to for the last 40, 50 years with 2 despicable predators in an unregulated industry. So that again, be coming back again to regulation. Nobody is regulating the credit reporting industry, and it is too important to the economy to leave it in oblivion. We have to pay attention to it.
Yes, same as professional debt collectors. You have some people who want to act as though, yeah, you're right, I catch you, and then of course these threatening correspondences saying that if you're going to get a visa, the Americans, when in fact the Americans don't care about the fact that you didn't pay courts or whoever or whatever the case may be, but they use all of these threatening language to you, telling you all kinds of things, so people feel intimidated and they rush out there and it makes matters worse.
And succumb to what they offer. They have an unbridled arrogance with a penchant for instilling fear in consumers. I remember one of them wrote to me about 20, 25 years ago on an envelope and said, "Mad dog, pay your bill." On the open envelope that the postman is bringing to my office, my staff is collecting it. Mad, all this kind of nonsense they get to it. They have a blue book, a green book, a yellow book, and they're selling that to credit providers who are stupid to accept that without any conscience as to what they're doing consumers out there. And while we're on that, I had one client who called me some weeks ago. She had a company that closed down and she was owing that company $6,430. And that is going back, Mikey, over 16 years now. There's a time limit on all of these things. But these predators, they work on you not knowing your rights. So if they come after you for something going back 10, 14, 15 years ago, they jump you. And now, instead of paying $6,430, they're asking you to pay $38,244. That's not right.
Not right at all.
That's not right. They'd already break the limited time frame. The statute by is, I think, is 10 or 12 years here. You're over 15 years, and you're calling now to jump the figure from $6,200 to $38,244. That's not right.
Number 5, bankruptcy protection. This is inherently necessary if we are to be a matured, economically stable country. The rush to demise CLICO by 3 individuals clearly shows we are a spiteful, destructive, uneducated, and biased country.
And racially biased, I might add, because there is some race factor in that there. Because I can tell you, if the 1% had folded up their Mikey, they would have done everything to float them as against sinking CLICO. If CLICO was headquarters in any other country, including Jamaica, the Butch son of Andrew, or Andy is his name now, who owned the chain of hotels there, they would never allow their brand to sink the way we allow CLICO. It's our Caribbean and global branch to sink the way they have allowed that to happen. They would have never allowed, Butch would have never allowed that happen, or the Jamaican government to let a brand name like that, a global brand name that you want to respect and honor and appreciate, and let that just sink. So I get passionate about the bankruptcy protection because, as you know, I applied for that in 2006.
Yes.
It's been sitting on the AG's office for some time now. We have a new AG. I'm grateful for that. I'm going to write him soon and let them promulgate that to attorneys and consumers. Because if CLICO was aware that the bankruptcy protection existed, they would have been around all now. So. And when we talk about race, let me tell you something. If Bastio Pandey was in power at the time CLICO went under, if Kamla and they were in power at the time when CLICO and them went under, they would have been floating still. Because Indians have a different approach to the economy. We like to destroy, we like to throw away, we like to bad talk, we're spiteful, we're vindictive. That is the kind of culture we have. And unless we address it, we'll be fooling ourselves going over the same cycle over and over and over. I always say, all the problems I have had in my business career, all the help I have had is my Indians. All the problems I've had, all the negativity and everything else, I let that stand. I let that stand. But yes, we need a bankruptcy protection. In the States, airline having a problem, you can't just come and take up a plane and shut them down.
That's right, that's right.
Give me time to breathe. Let's see who is owing us, who we owing. Give me some time. You don't run and rush me and close me down like that, especially when I am a Caribbean brand, an American brand, a Canadian brand, Australian brand. You don't do that kind of stuff. You don't. But we have people in the financial sector, in the financial landscape, I should say, who does not know much about finance. The only thing they know about that finance is their big perks, their office, their Mercedes-Benz, their Audi, their Range Rover.
That's it. Yeah, you're right. Number 6, reform banks and credit union. These two entities should also pay attention to not directing their loan clients to certain attorneys to sign agreements using templates and charging $5,000 just to sign. I agree with you on that. Again, all of this seems to be some sort of orchestrated financial mafia. And who pays the cost?
The consumers.
The consumers. Yeah, the consumers. Well said, Trevor. Well said, and definitely will pass this on to the powers that be. I certainly will. I stand with this. I agree with it, and I think many of our folks who are locked on and watching, they have dealt with this at some point of time in their life, and I'm sure it was not a good experience. It never is, but I think we have an attitude that when we get in it, most people, once you come out of it, you forget the experience and say, well, I'm just happy I overcame that. But that can't work because it just doesn't make sense. Then how do we expect the system to be fixed if it is that we seem to be so based on self? Once we can get through it, we don't have to deal with it anymore, then that's the end of it. So
It's the me-ism, me alone. Once
Yeah.
I consult, you all can go without getting together and forming a group, to go against them and protest and that. No, we're not doing that. Once we get our matters fixed, that's it. And that's why we left behind. We as a race, we are left behind because we don't cooperate, we don't unite where is necessary.
I agree with you on that. Trevor, I want to thank you so much again. I'm going to pass this on. We're going to follow up on this. I'll tell you exactly in whose hands I'm going to put this in. For sure, the finance minister, which is Mr. Dave Tanku, and also to Mr. Kennedy Sowat Singh. So they will get that, and if necessary, whoever else we need to highlight this, because the time has come for us to definitely do away with a lot of these archaic and Jurassic methods that does not benefit us whatsoever. Thank you once again, my friend. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Always a pleasure, and I appreciate the work you have been doing for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hey, short break. When we come back, we speak to the PRO of the UNC. Then, of course, we open the lines. We'll be right back. He's going to tell us about voting. There's something going on, and you've got to, of course, vote for the Honorable Kamla Persad Bissessar. We'll be right back.
The Excel brand delivers quality service. I would recommend Omega Excel to everyone.
Take care of yourself, take care of your health with Omega Excel. If Omega Excel works for me, it will work for you.
Over a period of time, I started feeling stronger in my knees where I could add more pressure.
When you say TNT's construction boss, then there's only one company, Lacroix Construction Services Limited, specializing in general construction, industrial maintenance, manpower resources, transportation and lifting, and equipment rental, excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, lighting systems, and everything for your project. We have affordable prices. Call now 267-0000 or 431-0012. Lacroix Construction Services Limited, TNT's construction boss.
Oh gosh, this place hot, and the AC in this car not working.
Check Ryan Air. Ryan Air is ranked among the best in TNT for auto air conditioning service. They specialize in repairing and servicing all makes and models of vehicles and heavy equipment. They also stock a wide range of parts. Give them a call at 640-5828 or visit them at number 41 Kane Farm Road, Tacarigua, or email ryanairac@gmail.com. For prompt and efficient service, look no further than Ryan Air. Husqvarna, a global leader in outdoor power equipment, known for its high performance, durable and innovative products, tested and proven by generations of professionals. Full after-sales and service support whenever you need it. Contact Provar Distributors Limited, 223-9438. Brands in hand tools, garden tools, water tanks, power washers, generators, water pumps, kitchen and bathroom faucets, along with face basins and toilet sets, blocks, lumber, steel, sand, gravel, and topsoil. Also check out Midland for steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Everything for home and business projects. Payments via links, credit cards, online payments, or cash on delivery. WhatsApp 327-7761 or call 646-2144. Open every day from 8 a.m. From foundation to finish, it's all at Midland.
Limiting chronic inflammation is important for so many conditions that occur.
I had a lot of pain 4 years ago.
I used to have pain in my knees, in my hip.
Taking it for arthritis.
Omega XL saved my life.
Then I started to realize, well, hey, I could use my hands, I don't have any pain.
All in all, I am pleased to say that the Omega XL has worked.
All right. right, folks. Well, the PRO, Mr. Dr. Kirk Megu, is tied up at this time. He is, to be honest with you, he's at a Ram Amurti ceremony, and he's in the front row. But he did ask me, of course, to share with you, and some of you may have had it already, the Caribbean Global Awards, the People's Choice 2025, as at May 25th. The awards, of course, celebrate Caribbean people's success, resilience, and achievements. And our Honorable Prime Minister, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, is currently in 5th place. And we can think of no other better person to be celebrated. So let's make her the overwhelming choice by filling out the survey and voting. Voting closes on the 1st of June, midnight, and UK time the 31st of May at 7 p.m. TT time. So if you have it, please share it. If you want, I have a link. Dr. Megu has a link, so you can get it from him and others, but it has been circulating. So again, the Caribbean Global Awards, the People's Choice 2025, the awards celebrate Caribbean people's success, resilience, and achievements. And our Honorable Prime Minister, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, is currently in 5th place. And we know there's no better person that deserves that. We know it. We've been with her. We've seen all that she has accomplished. So let's make her the overwhelming choice by filling out the survey and voting. Voting closes on June 1st at midnight and UK time on the 31st of May at 7 p.m. our time here in Trinidad and Tobago. So we can do that. Let me just share with you, our bodies are under stress from environmental toxins to work stress to poor food choices and low nutrients in the food we eat. Our bodies are under a lot of stress. And all of these can lead to high inflammation levels. Excessive inflammation can lead to a large number of health problems that cause pain and damage to the body. Omega-3 fatty acids help the body reduce inflammation, and it provides the health benefits of many fatty acids. So please pick up the most powerful all-natural anti-inflammatory supplement on the market today, Omega XL. Now the lines are open, 225-9790, 225-9790. And those of you who are still, of course, trying to keep your head above water, they're early days still, but there's so much on the agenda, so much plans. You can call via WhatsApp 494-0938, 494-0938. Anyone celebrating a birthday, anniversary, all the best to you. So let's take our first call for the evening. Let's see who's there. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mikey.
Good evening, my friend.
To the phone here, brother.
Yes.
Now, firstly, whilst you were talking to the guy there with the consumer affairs issues and things, Mikey, I want to tell people something. You see, massive stores, the mechanical area and the sales, car vehicle, they are, I don't know, like they're hoodwinking people because it's for months now. They are not supplying people with auto body parts and mechanical parts because it's months now. I have order in there and I cannot get it. Over and over 5 months. Could you imagine that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so, and why I'm saying this, according to Betsy Ram, there ought to be a thorough investigation by the Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, this UNC government, in terms of when she talk about a banking cartel and the business people who are involved in that. Because here it is. The banks and they're doing what the hell they want on that. And you see, again, remember the Calypso by Sparrow, the architects of economic slavery. These are the banking sector aided by the PNM government. Keith Rowley, Stuart Young, Paris, Al-Rawi, Imbot, and Ruan, Sinanan, and all of them. They are involved in this thing, this cartel thing. Because when you cannot account for $2.6 billion, almost $3 billion input, and then you're hearing the government, the Prime Minister is talking about contracts being awarded and rentals and all these kind of things. It leaves you to wonder that really and truly something is definitely wrong and people ought to be investigated. Now, I want to just say something, Mikey, again. listen to this hypocrite. And I look forward to her early letter of resignation, which is the president of this country, Christine Kangaloo. Is she preaching the gospel of the PNM? Or is she reading the riot act of this UNC government? Huh? All these things that you talk about, they were issues that were raised in the parliament. And you yourself, you're talking about crime and what have you. You shut down the opposition when they were wanted to debate a number of those issues. And then you're talking about artificial intelligence and to deal with the merit funds and all that. And these are pronouncements that the Prime Minister made. And people, like football all around the place, you had them removed from where they were located. They called for a stipend, you didn't give them any. And you will say nothing. You have the Election and Boundaries Commission, who we did a whole fiasco about it. And to add to it, you have the Police Service Commission, with this fiasco with the appointment of a commissioner of police. And you know, Mikey, one of the people that you appoint there in that thing is one of the commissioners, McLeish fella, who was there and had to forcibly resign when there was an outcry that the Police Service Commission should resign. And he eventually had to resign. So you telling me how listeners are these people? Huh? Then again, you bring back these two dead horse, Vera and Timal, or what the fella name. These people have supported the PNM government in a number of bills today that you've seen. The crisis that we are in is as a result of some of the things that this PNM government officiated and presided over. And you all give all your support to it. And you telling me now, Christine Kangaloo, you bring back these people and them there? You say you have some objective, something up your sleeve? Huh? You are not really for the betterment of this country. You are there to serve the PNM. And so much other thing, Mikey, that I could bring forward to draw to your attention of what this president, you know, the thing that they're doing to these people in this country. You know, I'm talking about a call for unity, compassionate leadership, and all this kind of thing. And you know, it begins to wonder, when you were the president of the Senate, and then being promoted to because you were doing the nasty work for the PNM in the Senate as the president, I know that when the opposition were raising pertinent issues on a number of issues, you shut them down. You even put out from the house and all kinds of some of them. But today, you now want to come and read you and you want to profess that you're so independent and you're so citizen-minded and conscious and what have you. Madam President, here what? Send in your resignation because people could read you exactly what is your up your sleeve. You are just doing the dirty work of the PNM and you will do everything possible because you are not the person who fired Joala Rambaran. You were the person and they had to compensate him and all that. So let me tell you something, madam. Submit your resignation because why? I don't think and nobody will acknowledge you as a just president. You are doing the dirty work of the PNM. Mikey, have a blessed day.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The lines are open, folks. You can call direct 225-9790, 225-9790, or you can make your WhatsApp call 494-0938. That number 494-0938. Get on the inside. You heard Ken Ali, veteran journalist Ken Ali, talk about it. He spoke about the urban elite. He spoke about the fact that he believes that there will be some changes. He also spoke about mainstream media, legacy media, how they're functioning, and which is totally imbalanced. We heard from Mr. Ved Siram making some comments as well as to changes that need to be put in place, and also some low-hanging fruits, such as stop hoarding Forex. He mentioned that there are banks that are hoarding foreign exchange, and if they bring it, and we can have that as part of what we need to have circulating in the economy to help out SMEs. You heard, of course, the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Khadija Amin, talking about the water courses, the fact that they were neglected for some time, that the former minister did absolutely nothing. Gone are the days now when you simply hear the corporation saying we can't do anything for you because we have no money for sandbags, we have no money for diesel for the machine, we simply have no resources, and all of that, and making it quite clear that also gone are the days of geographical discrimination. Not because you live at some part of the country and there's this belief that these people don't vote for you, you're not going to assist them. No, that's not the case. You need to get out there and serve and deliver to all of the people, whether they voted for you or not. You heard, of course, Mr. Trevor Austin, consumer rights advocate, talk about the fact of insurance companies, time limit claim supplement, post retail price, and all of these things. And these are things that one must definitely take seriously. Let's see. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Mickie K.
Good. Yes. Welcome.
Mickie K, I just want to tell you, remind me not to take no advice from you for any lotto and player market. Because you're upside down with all of them people you name as senators last week Friday, you understand? I think a bit Robert Marhart, the man is depressed right now. You know, he had to take oxygen in because he thought he had a foot in the intersenatorial role kind of thing, you understand? They put him on heart at.
But I was told that those names were shortlisted, and because it was exposed, they made some other moves, some other changes.
Mickie K is the best at what he is to talk.
But as a matter of fact, somebody told me that my lineup was better than the one they actually came with.
Yeah, well, the pickup squad is a has-been squad there that they put up there. Men like Foster and Al Rental and Company coming back there to do what? I don't understand what they pick them for. Them like Sapi. You understand? A Sapi is a whole piece of cloth. It is wipe down whole table and thing with that. What them come to do there? But I want to commend Khadija. I mean, since she become local government minister, she hit the ground running, boy. Yeah. And I see this lady like everywhere, you know. She all over the place. And that clip you brought there when she going into the school, you know, the both mainstream media, CNC3 and TV6 never highlight that story. I saw it on the TTT last night, and I want to know why them wicked agenda by TV6 and CNC3 is only there to make the government look bad and promote the PNM agenda. So right off the bat, the UNC is already getting opposition from the media, and they'll have to do well on TTT to bring forth the truth about what they're doing. But I'm glad to see what Khadija doing. She hit the ground running and she cleaned up the school. Let me hope that the other schools that they mark for fixing and repairs, that they'll get it done. And all these children that were starved over education for the last 10 years, because I was reading her post, and a lady said she had 4 children going to that same school that Khadija was cleaning out there. And she said all them children went through in the last 10 years and there's adults now. And she said if those children were given the opportunity, like all these ones getting, they would have been in a better position as it is. So the future children will benefit from the fixing and repairs at the school, and one must commend this government for hitting the ground running. Thank you very much, Mickie K.
Yeah, thank you. And you're right. And I like the point that caller made concerning the whole issue with mainstream media. That thing that he mentioned there. Hold on, folks. We may get Dr. Kirk Megu. See if we could get him, wrap things up with him. Very important. Again, it's the Caribbean Global Awards, so we are trying to just get that for you. The Global Caribbean Awards, and know that he is working on that. The awards celebrate Caribbean people's success, Jillian's.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Migo. We have about 4 minutes. Go right ahead. You're live. I know you're in the middle of a function. The Caribbean Global Awards, People's Choice. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the link is shared on the UNC page. It's the Caribbean Global Awards, People's Choice. This year, we are asking people to vote for Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. No one deserves it more than her. She's only been Prime Minister for 3 weeks, and she's already at number 5 on the charts. So we want our people to go, click on the link, and you'll see a form, and you have to fill out the form. Irfan Ali received the award last year. The previous year was Mia Motley of Barbados. So this year we want it to be the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, because nobody deserves it more than her. So please go on the UNC Facebook page, and you'll see the link there. Click on it and vote.
Very important. When you look at those past winners, we believe that our Prime Minister ranks right there in the middle of those people who have as well has accomplished quite a lot for their country. And you're right, in the past 3 weeks, we have seen a difference, felt a difference, and everyone seems to understand clearly the agenda moving forward. So again, it's on the UNC page. Tell them.
Yeah, on the UNC Facebook page, the link is there on the post. So just scroll down if you don't see it as the first post. It's there on the page, and it's called the Caribbean Global Awards People's Choice. It's held in London, and it is an award given by the people all over the world, the Caribbean diaspora, voting for the leader who has made the most impact in the Caribbean. And this year, we want it to be Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, so it's up to us to vote.
Thank you so much, Doc. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and good night to you and your listeners.
Good night to you as well. Thank you. So there you have it, folks. Remember, go on the UNC page, download it, and vote for the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. She deserves it, and you know that as well. Yeah, 3 weeks, but think about the 9.5 years that she had to keep it together and still keep that vision and understanding what needs to be done for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I think it's well deserving that she gets it. Well, that brings us to the end of our program. Until next week, Sunday. Remember, we are part of the action. The action has started. We continue to observe, and we continue to observe a lot of bad behavior. Mainstream media, we're looking at you. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. Some changes are coming. And that's why you have to support programs like The Observer, like The Ground Report, and many of these programs that bring to you exactly the information that you need. It's not going to be like how they dealt with the entire economy, keeping everything in secret. You heard Mr. Searam say that. That's why now things are jumping out, and many people are not surprised, especially economists, because a lot of the information was not forthcoming. Understand, people, the job that we have to do. We have to defend this. It is right and what is best for this country. So until next week, Sunday, stay safe. Until then, we will be observing, and we will be part of the solution where the action comes. Have a good one.
Mickie K, the Observer. Mickie K, Mickie K, Mickie K, Mickie K.